Now, again, you want to put it into some category and lock the guy up for a longer period of time because he saw a weak woman that he grabbed it. But again, I think we have gone a little too far.
Many of the anti-Semitic incidents reported by the ADL happen to Orthodox Jews, since they are the easiest to spot. So I was pretty surprised by Rabbi Hecht's response.
Let me tell you guys, I am suspicious when a guy makes a living from a particular situation. So if there's a particular film crew that make a living from blood, that's right. I'm suspicious every time they show blood. If a guy is created only because of anti-Semitism, I'm nervous about his reports. Are they accurate? He has to create a problem because he needs a job.
So you're saying, like, I mean, the ADL is not like a credible organization, or?
I really can't pass judgment on other organizations, so we'll leave it that way. I'll be politically correct. But listen, clearly the ADL has been responsible in certain areas to flare up things as much as they've helped. Of course, having said that, now I'm on the ADL's blacklist now, so Mr. Foxman is not going to come to my home for dinner, but what should I tell you?
An important part of the ADL's work are the international missions, and Foxman decided to allow me to join him. Every year, a few ADL board members and contributors get to join Foxman as he travels to various countries, meeting heads of state, politicians, and other influential people who can help in the fight against anti-Semitism. It's like an organized tour, but apart from visiting museums and other tourist attractions, the chosen ADL members get to join Foxman in taking an active part in the struggle against anti-Semitism.
You have to debate what is proportionate when someone attacks you.
You are serious people, and you're here for serious business, and you're going to see the Holy Father, and everything the ADL does is serious business.
The police escort along the way made me realize I was traveling with some pretty important people.
We're seeing the Pope tomorrow. Rodi Friday. Yeah. Good job. Mark Antonio.
Beautiful. How gorgeous.
I'm curious about how Mr. Foxman gets to meet all these important people. Why would all these ambassadors, politicians, and heads of state take the time to meet him?
It's their perception of the power of the Jewish community, which is one of those sides of the anti-Semitism, which is it's a very thin line, you know. They believe we are more powerful than we are. I've always said Jews are not as powerful as the Jews think we are, nor as powerful as our enemies think we are. We're somewhere in between. But they do believe, to some extent, that we can make a difference in Washington, and we're not going to convince them otherwise. So how do you fight this sinister, conspiratorial view of Jews without using it? Look, when the United Nations comes to its General Assembly, we meet with 40 heads of state, foreign ministers. Why?
I think I got it. It's like a poker game in which Foxman bluffs the other side into thinking that Jews have more influence and power in Washington than they really have. The downside is that the idea of Jews being so powerful can result in envy, even hate. Foxman has a very close relationship with the Israeli government.
All right. Oh, yeah. A couple of times.
Israel relies on Foxman when it comes to issues of anti-Semitism. And being the Jewish state, anti-Semitism is always on the agenda.
Hi, Abe. I wanted to ask you, since we met last, about the issue of Venezuela. Because I heard voices kind of saying it's not so bad, and Latin America is not so bad, but I'm not convinced. And the question
You have
is
good
what-
reason not to be convinced. You have good reason. It is getting worse.
Why?
And little by little, as long as oil money works,
I'm told that by our experts, it's the only, except for Iran, it's the only government-propagated anti-Semitism today around the world. It's a
formally. Right.
This is
First
quite
within
scary.
the country and then outside.
So are you pressing in any way?
We've talked to Jesse Jackson, who has a relationship, but it's not for camera, but there are other plans.
We'll talk about it in a minute.
So we have a very beautiful view from here.
The first example of what Foxman is talking about was a meeting with a special advisor to the Ukrainian President Yushchenko. The Ukrainian government would like to distance itself from the embrace of the Russians and strengthen its ties with the West, most especially the United States. They believe that the Jews can become their allies in the US Congress.
We come to celebrate your democracy, but we also come with mixed feelings. The history of the Jewish people in this country is primarily one of tragedy. We would like to see a more active, a more aggressive approach to dealing with issues of anti-Semitism. It took a long...
Foxman is concerned about the Ukrainian government's comparison of the famine in the Ukraine before World War II with the Holocaust.
The one thing that you need to be sensitive about is not to link it with the Holocaust. Be careful that it not be played as your genocide, our genocide, because that will be counterproductive on all sides.
We, of course, respect Holocaust, and I understood your message, and we try to be very, very diplomatic.
Here it is.
I was impressed by the way Foxman handled the meeting, but it also raised some questions for me.
She was kind of pushing him a little bit, huh?
He was kind of what?
Pushing him.
Yes, of course.
It's always like that? Yeah?
Of course.
I wasn't sure how bringing up things that had happened over 60 years ago had any relevance to fighting anti-Semitism today.
In order to combat it effectively, I think that you have to take responsibility for anything that happened in the past and then reach the present and then go forward.
With your husband, when you quarrel, sometimes you need to give some slack to get what you want.
No.
You always
I bring
tough?
up everything from the past. 50 years. What his mother did. Absolutely not. No, that's not the American Jewish way. I don't know about the Israeli Jewish way.
Even the guilt trip.
That's absolutely. We need to play on that guilt.
I asked when you having a quarrel, whether she give you some slack sometimes to make up, but she said no.
I'm always wrong, and she's always right.
But wait a minute, do I ever forget anything in the past?
Never. Suzanne will tell me 20 years ago what I did wrong. If we have an argument now, but 20 years you did this. I said, but Suzanne, it was 20
Wait
years
a
ago.
minute, but do you know why? Because he has not stood up and taken responsibility for that behavior.
The guilt trip she's giving you, does it help?
No.
So maybe the guilt trip we're giving them is not the right solution. Maybe we should give them some slack and say, okay, let's be friends. Not forget the past, but kind of be a little bit more, liberal.
Moderate.
Yeah.
Something we happen to, I have to
The guilt of the father should not be visited on the guilt on the sons. And it's true, of course it's true.
I agree with you.
It's true, you have to.
You cannot let it go down, but you can't keep playing on it as heavily as some people do. It's got to be moderate.
But the ADL is like one of the people who plays quite heavily.
No, we're moderate.
No, ADL plays heavily.